In February, Toyota announced that its next CEO would be Kenta Kon. He's the company's CFO, and for 8 years, he was the personal secretary to Chairman Akio Toyoda. Some of the coverage outside Japan framed this as a family story. Akio Toyoda's son, Daisuke, the founder's great-grandson, was given a role at Toyota's Motomachi plant around the same time. A lot of people read that as the first step toward the Toyota family taking back the top job. Here's the thing. The real story is more interesting than that. And if you're a foreign executive trying to read succession signals inside a Japanese company, it's a story you need to understand. Let's start with what actually happened. Kon is not a car guy. He's the first Toyota CEO since 2009 who isn't an engineer, and he's not a racing enthusiast like Akio Toyoda. He built his career in finance. He delivered record profits as CFO. He's known for being tight on cost discipline. And here's what most coverage missed. He spent nearly a decade at Toyota's side as his secretary before he ever moved into finance leadership. Meanwhile, Daisuke Toyoda's assignment at Motomachi is a real operating role. It's not a ceremonial title. It's not a CEO announcement. Put those two facts together, and what you get isn't a dynastic handoff. It's a company building leadership bench strength on two tracks at once. Test a trusted, professionally credentialed operator in the top seat, and give the likely long-term heir real seasoning under real pressure, not a shortcut to the corner office. I've spent years telling CEOs, in Japan and everywhere else, that when succession turns into a crisis, it's because leadership development was treated as an event instead of a discipline. I call the trap they land in the land of no good options. The internal bench is thin, the external search takes too long, and lowering the bar just trades one problem for a worse one. There's no shortcut out of that trap. It's built over years, through a small number of concrete practices. I call this the perpetual leadership bench, and two of its imperatives are doing a lot of work in the Toyota case. First, every leader has to be mentoring and coaching a successor from day one, long before urgency forces the question. Leadership isn't trained in a classroom. It's coached in the act of leading, continuously, regardless of position, at every level of the organization. That means leadership development gets built into the culture itself. It doesn't get delegated to HR, and it isn't reserved for a chosen few. Second, direct reports need real exposure to the responsibilities above their current role. So when the moment comes, they've already been operating at the edge of it. They're not encountering it cold. Kon's years as Toyota's secretary are a mentor culture outcome, whether Toyota frames it that way publicly or not. 8 years of proximity to how the chairman thinks, decides, and handles pressure, followed by real operating authority as CFO. That's not a line on a resume. That's leadership learned in vivo. Capability built through a trusted relationship and real responsibility, not a training program. Daisuke's posting at Motomachi looks like the same mechanism, one generation later. Seasoning under real stakes, not a coronation. Seen this way, Kon's appointment isn't a placeholder. It's Toyota running a live evaluation, testing whether a professionally developed non-family operator can run the company well, while keeping a family option in active development, not just assumed. That's a more disciplined version of succession than either the family dynasty story or the clean break to professional management story. Now let me push back on something. A lot of Western coverage and a lot of Western investors read continued family involvement as evidence of weak governance, a board that can't cut the cord, entrenchment, insiders protecting insiders. That's exactly the lens behind Elliott Management's opposition to the parallel Toyota Industries buyout, which critics say tightens the Toyota family's grip at a price that undervalues minority shareholders. Elliott is a well-known activist investor. They buy stakes in companies and push publicly for governance changes they believe will unlock shareholder value. Their opposition here tells you that sophisticated outside investors are reading this buyout as entrenchment, not efficiency. That skepticism might be completely justified. Governance concerns and disciplined bench building aren't mutually exclusive, and Toyota's leadership will have to answer for both. But these are two separate questions. Family continuity and slow, visible seasoning of a successor are not, by themselves, evidence of weak governance. In a Japanese corporate context, they're often exactly how internal trust and legitimacy get built before someone is handed real authority. The same mentor culture logic that produced a strong non-family leader like Kon. So if you're a foreign executive operating in Japan, here's the skill you actually need. Don't default to suspicion of family or insider succession, and don't give it a pass just because that's how things are done here. Learn to read the signals that separate disciplined bench building from entrenchment dressed up as tradition. Is the heir apparent operating under real stakes or just collecting titles? Is authority being tested or simply assumed? Is there a credible non-family option genuinely in the running? Or is the professional CEO just a placeholder with no real mandate? Toyota's current sequencing checks out on that test. A financially disciplined outsider to the family in the CEO seat, evaluated in real time. A likely family successor seasoning under real pressure instead of being installed. Whether it proves out depends less on the announcement and a lot more on what Kon is actually allowed to do with the mandate he's been given. Here's the bigger point. Succession at scale was never really about who gets the title. It's about whether an organization has spent years, quietly, building people who are ready before the vacancy exists. Toyota's move is less a story about a family protecting its grip and more a case study in what a perpetual leadership bench looks like when it's actually working. That's a discipline every CEO can build. Family company or not, Japan or anywhere else, most leaders don't start until they're already trapped in the land of no good options. So let me ask you the same question I'd ask any CEO I'm working with. Is succession an event in your business, or is it a discipline? What are you doing right now to build a perpetual leadership bench in your organization? If this way of thinking about leadership resonates with you, subscribe to this channel. I break down how real leaders navigate exactly these kinds of decisions. And if you want the full framework behind what I talked about today, including the 4 imperatives of perpetual leadership bench, it's in my book, Dauntless Leadership. It's available now on Amazon. Link is in the description below.